you guys, welcome to today's video. This is going to be my August update video. It's a chance for me to just chat with you about how all of the homeschool things are going, what we did this past month, what I'm loving, what I'm changing, all those types of things. We just get to catch up. So grab your cup of coffee, got mine right here, or hop on the treadmill, pull up some laundry to fold, whatever you need to do, and I will keep you company for a while I chat with you. All right, if you don't know me, I'm Sarah. I'm a homeschooling mom to 4 kids, ages 13, 11, and almost 6. So that means this year we are doing 7th grade, 6th grade, and kindergarten work in our homeschool. I was a high school math teacher for years, never thought I would be homeschooling my kids, but now I wouldn't trade it for the world. I started a blog a couple of years ago, Blessed Homeschool, and so I love sharing homeschooling tips and encouragement over there and on this channel. So please consider subscribing and following along this year with us as I share our homeschool journey. So our first month of our full homeschool new routine went really well. It kind of feels like the calm before the storm in a sense, because we haven't yet jumped back into our homeschool co-op or all of the sports and practices and Awana and youth group and BSF and all those little extra things that we do. So August was good. We celebrated 3 birthdays in August, which was a lot of fun. Yes, all my 3 older kids have the exact same birthday. A lot of you guys know that by now. Completely random. Couldn't have planned it if I tried. But the birthdays were a success. I can't believe it's already September. I feel like I say this every month, but it's true. August flew by. It feels like just yesterday we were doing our first day of school, which if you haven't seen that video I shared of our first day of school, I would love for you to check it out. We had such a great first day. It was such a sweet day, and the kids actually told me that it was the best first day ever. So thank you to you guys who gave me some fun suggestions. You probably saw in the video, the stickers for the water bottles were a huge hit, and so were the little Rolo candy pencils. And I wouldn't have thought of those myself, but the kids love them so much. And so something I wanted to talk about, which I mentioned a little bit in another recent video on homeschool routines, is that our homeschool routine on the first day went so well. You know, I had planned out and I had typed up what I wanted our daily rhythm to look like this year, and we did really well with it the first day. But on the second day, it all started to fall apart, and here's why. One of my big goals, I guess you can say, or something that I wanted to implement this year was some kind of morning routine for our homeschool. I really did. When, you know, my kids were younger, we used to do this before my kindergartner was born, before my kids started doing a lot more independent work, and I wanted to get back to it. I had visions in my head of all my kids and I sitting around at the beginning of the homeschool day and doing our hymn study, reading together, working on Bible memory, pulling some pieces from our My Father's World curriculum that we could all do together, even my kindergartner, just starting the day together, this nice, peaceful morning time. You know, this picture perfect idea of what a homeschool morning time should look like, right? Well, I realized this month that all of that looks really nice on paper, and it did work when my kids were younger, but now I just don't think that it's realistic. In fact, I know a morning time together just isn't going to work for our family or for our homeschool for a couple of reasons. For starters, my kids, now that they're older, are doing a lot more independent work right now. I'd say we're at about 50-50 what they do on their own versus what they do with me. And this means that they just naturally work at and want to work at different paces and schedules. So 2 of my kids are early birds, and they are up and ready to tackle their schoolwork by about 6 a.m., sometimes 7 a.m. each day. Not kidding. The other two, it really depends. They like to sleep in a bit more, and by sleep in, I mean about 9 a.m. maybe. And it really depends on what we had going on the night before. They're all night owls. Honestly, we tend to have pretty late bedtimes. So for me to say, hey, let's all start school together at 8 a.m., that would just mean that I have to most likely drag two of my kids out of bed, sometimes drag myself out of bed. And that's just not something that I really want to do, I realized. I think at this age, if they need another extra hour or two of sleep, that's what they need. And I feel lucky that they're able to do that. So then I thought, well, we'll just start our morning time when they're all awake, even if it's a different time each day. It doesn't have to be 8 a.m. So as soon as all the kids are up and ready, we can all just come together then and do some things together. The problem with this is that by the time my last two kids are awake, the other two are in the middle of some other schoolwork, and I don't want to interrupt them if they're in that zone and they're working hard, and just not something I thought would go over well. So here's what has actually ended up happening. This is what our routine has kind of settled into. My early risers will come down and start on any independent work that they need to do. When my other 6th grader wakes up and she's ready to go, she'll do the same. So they're kind of all starting on their independent work right away, which for us is math, language arts, music practice, and book basket, which is silent reading. And then when my kindergarten wakes up, we start doing his kindergarten work, which is my father's world. We're using God's creation from A to Z for that. And all of the others are finishing their independent work while we do that. After that, I'll pull my girls in to do science with my kindergartner. They're all using the same curriculum for science. And then it's typically time for lunch. So we'll break for lunch. We'll watch some World Watch News, and during lunch, this is the new thing that I didn't plan on doing. During lunch is when I've been actually doing some of the morning time stuff that I wanted to do with my kids. And then after lunch, I'll work with my older 3 on the curriculum that we need to do together. Typically, my father's world, creation to the Greeks, and Latin. So lunchtime has really been a big change. And it's become kind of the morning time that I was dreaming about in a way, just not in the morning. And it's really different this year. Our lunch routine is really different. We've never really had a lunch routine before, but I'm really loving it, and my kids are too. In previous years, especially since my youngest was born, lunchtime has been kind of a loose, on your own schedule thing. We didn't necessarily eat lunch together. My big kids are old enough to typically grab what they want for lunch, or I'll throw something in the oven, or they'll make sandwiches and grab fruit when they're hungry. And so I've usually used lunchtime as a time to sneak in some work, which was both good and bad. Good because I got a little bit of work done, but bad because sometimes once I get started working, it can be hard for me to turn that off and pull away and then refocus on school and give my full attention to my kids, because there's always something else I can be doing. So this year, first I decided to be more intentional about our lunch menu and prepping meals for lunchtime. I thought it would make it easier on me, make it easier on our budget and on my shopping. Those are kind of the main reasons I wanted to do this. And also, not that we're having super healthy meals now, but I wasn't doing a great job of making sure my kids were getting fruits and vegetables and some of those things during the day. So I made a 4-week lunch plan and picked out some different lunches for each day. And this has been going great. What I'm finding is that, yes, I'm losing out on a bit of time to work during lunch, but for one, I'm really enjoying making meals for my kids during lunchtime. It's been really nice to do this again because it's been a while. And two, my kids really like the variety and they get excited to see what's on the menu each day because it's something different every day for 4 weeks. And then we do repeat things, but it's different each day throughout the month. And finally, like I mentioned earlier, since we're all eating lunch together now, it's been a great time to tackle some of those things I wanted to do initially with my kids in the morning. So this would be World Watch News. My kindergartner has videos sometimes that go with his weekly kindergarten theme that we'll watch together. We'll do read alouds. We've done some of our hymn study or listening to hymns over lunchtime. And also I've been reading through a few books from Master Books that I got in one of their morning basket packages. So it's been a really, really good routine to get into. For our hymn study, I am using resources from Happy Hymnody. They just came out with their 2024-2025 school year hymn guide. I will leave a link in the description below in case you guys want to check it out. But basically, they focus on a new hymn each month. They'll sing the hymn as a family. Some of the kids play instruments, and they put a video of this up on their YouTube page along with the lyrics so you can sing along. And their hymn guide comes with a lot of thoughtful resources that all your kids can use. There's a background page that gives you information about the hymn and the author. There are coloring pages, handwriting practice, both print and cursive, and a lot more. So definitely check this out. The resource is very reasonably priced, I think, for what you get for an entire year of hymn study. And then I have to share these two books right now that we're reading that we are just loving. The first one you guys told me we would love, and you were right. It is The Tanglewood's Secret by Patricia St. John. This came with our My Father's World curriculum, and it's so good. We hardly want to put it down each day, but we're trying our best to pace ourselves. It's about a little girl and her brother that live with their aunt because their parents are missionaries. And this little girl has this journey of faith, and it's so relatable. And I think just tells this journey in a way that kids can really understand how to apply some of these things that she is learning, like how to listen for the Holy Spirit and what that means, and how to apply that to their own lives. So good. The other book is this Instincts book, and this is from Master Books. And this has just been so interesting. We have loved this. Each page has a different question on it that relates to a certain instinct that God has built into humans, animals, and or plants. So we'll read one question a couple times a week. The pages are really detailed and colorful, and we're just really enjoying this book. So this new lunchtime routine has been great. It's going to be something that we definitely continue this year for all the reasons I shared. And ultimately, I think it's really helped me this month to kind of relax a bit more and just be more intentional during the day. I'm lucky in the fact that I can kind of set my own hours and time to work. Since I run my own business, it's very flexible, but also there's a lot to do. But too often in the past, I let it distract me, especially when I try to squeeze work in during our homeschool day or multitask. So this month has been a breath of fresh air, a bit of a breath of fresh air. And I'm seeing that, yes, while it might feel that I have less time to get some of the things done that I want to get done, it's more about reprioritizing, being intentional and focused with my kids during our school day, and then making good use of the other hours of my day when we're done with homeschooling and not wasting so much time, which is very easy to do. So I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, but I had a lot of peace about how things went this month. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things homeschool curriculum wise. I'll start with kindergarten. It feels so strange to me to be going through our kindergarten curriculum again, honestly, because it's so different now. When we started homeschooling, my now oldest was in kindergarten, and I feel like I really tried to do a lot in our homeschool in the beginning, way too much. When I first started, I was still very much in that teacher and public school mindset. And don't get me wrong, I still am to a degree, but I mean that I was so worried about doing it all and making sure that I didn't leave anything out. I wanted to make absolutely sure that I taught him everything I needed to. So needless to say, we did a lot more than I'm doing now in terms of curriculum and workbooks and things like that. I feel much more relaxed now, not as much pressure, which is a really good thing. And sometimes I honestly think you kind of just have to learn this as you go. You can check out a couple of videos if you're interested in learning more about this curriculum. Like I mentioned, we're using my Father's World kindergarten program, God's Story from A to Z. I've got a flip through video, and I also just posted a video of one day of our lessons. And I think it's just such a gentle, easy curriculum to use. Something new they have this year that they didn't have when I used it last time are these weekly videos that they've made in collaboration with the Wild Brothers. If you don't know who they are a missionary family. They've grown up in the jungle basically, and they have a lot of videos and resources to teach about what this was like. A couple of years ago, I did a review with them for my blog, and they are fantastic. Well, these videos are a great addition to this curriculum. Like I said, there's one a week, and you stream them from the My Father's World website through your account when you purchase this curriculum. Each week, there is a theme where you focus on a letter, you've got a biblical concept, and a science topic. So for example, this week we are doing the letter L, and our topic is leaf, and the concept we're learning is I will live and grow with Jesus. So the Wild Brothers did about a 10-minute video for each of these topics. We watched the leaf video yesterday, and it was really informative, and also did a great job pointing to our Creator and how a leaf relates to the biblical concept that we're learning this week. My kids have loved these videos so far. We will watch them together during our lunch routine just once a week. So that's been, a fun way to get more information about the weekly kindergarten science topic, especially because this year I'm actually skipping some of the science part of my Father's World kindergarten, and I'm using Berean Builders Science with my kindergartner and my 6th graders. And that's been going okay. I will start by saying I am loving this curriculum, Berean Builders, and what we've done so far, just like I thought I would. It's science in the beginning, what we're using, and it's supposed to be written so that you can use it with kids from kindergarten through 6th grade. And since I was going to be using it with my 6th graders this year, I thought, why not just bring my kindergartner into the mix and use it with all of them together? Well, I think we've done about 9 lessons so far. For each lesson, there's been a little bit of reading, and then we do an experiment. There's been an experiment or a hands-on application in every lesson. Then we do more reading, and then my older girls have some notebooking. I'd say each lesson takes only about 30 minutes or so to get through, which is not bad at all. All of my kids love the experiments, and the best thing I did was purchase the supplies kit for this curriculum, because literally everything I've needed for these experiments is right at my fingertips and so easy to find, even if I forget to do it ahead of time. Honestly, I would probably be skipping all of these experiments, most likely, if I hadn't already bought this kit and had all this stuff organized. It's a must, I think, worth the extra money for sure. I also bought the notebooks that go with this. I have to say I'm surprised because my girls are actually really liking the notebooking and the journaling that goes along with each of the lessons. We don't do a ton of notebooking. Well, we haven't in the past, and I think this has been a good year to start this. They seem more ready for it, but they like anything where they get to draw diagrams and do more of a journaling style of answering questions, and it's not overwhelming for them, which is important. So for my 6th graders, this has been awesome. For kindergarten, I mean, it's kindergarten. I think he is loving the hands-on stuff and is picking up some things. It's been interesting for him, but that's about it. The reading it's not a lot, but it's a lot for a kindergartner to actually sit through and try to retain. There are 2 questions at the end of each lesson that the younger kids are supposed to answer. And most of the time, he can answer these with just a little bit of help. So I've been happy with that so far. And adding this in has been, I think it's been good for him because it's just a little bit more than what he did last year in preschool. But again, not too overwhelming. So I think that so far it's been a good curriculum choice for us. And it's a good compromise because right now there would really just not be enough time for me to do this curriculum with my girls and try to do a different science, even the extra science activities for my Father's World with my son. So I'm hoping it will continue to go well. All right, so that's my kindergartner. Let's see, I'm using my Father's World, Creation of the Greeks with my older 3, and so far that's been going fine too. We are using this mainly for Bible and history, a little bit of art, and we've been learning about some of the different Jewish feasts throughout the year too. And so far, we've already gone over the Sabbath, and we also learned about and kind of did a mock celebration for Rosh Hashanah. We read a little bit about Yom Kippur, but we didn't do anything for that one because we just didn't have the time that weekend. And initially, I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the suggestions and everything, in the book about how we could celebrate these feasts at home, so much that I almost skipped preparing a meal and going through the actual celebration. But we did end up doing a Sabbath and a Rosh Hashanah celebration, and we did it to the best of my ability. And I'm so glad that we did. It didn't end up being that bad. Once I kind of made a plan and just went with it, I realized that it wasn't going to be perfect, but the point was to learn about the feast and the traditions and the meaning behind everything, all the symbolism, and I think that, that all went over really well. I'm really trying to pay attention and learn this year about all of these things because it's something I don't understand much yet, and I really want to. So that has been good. The art lessons that come with this curriculum have been super basic so far, not necessarily bad, but I am supplementing and using some other resources for one of my daughters who is really getting into art and drawing lately. And I'll have to give more updates on this curriculum, Creation to the Greeks, as we go. I'm liking the main history book. It's very much a textbook, which I like, and I do like the other books that we're using for history, but I find them hard to use sometimes with all 3 kids at once. One of them is an Usborne book, and the others are very detailed as well with lots of small pictures and text, and it's just really hard to read these books aloud to 3 kids at once. Ideally, they would all have a copy and be able to follow along as I read, but I don't really want to have 3 copies of all the books we are using, and I don't want them to have to take turns and read everything on their own either. Although we have done that before, where we've kind of rotated through different pieces of the curriculum that day, and everyone kind of does something different and can take turns with the book. So maybe I'll try that more in the future. I'm not sure. But overall, I'm liking this so far. It's typical My Father's World curriculum. I do have a flip through video on this as well, so you can see what's included, how it's laid out, all of that if you're interested in learning more. Let's see, language arts. This has been another big change for us. We jumped into this new curriculum actually back in July. We started adding it in, and I kind of let my kids take the reins with it this past month. We are using Essentials in Writing for writing. Both my 6th graders and my 7th graders are using this. So far, we are still in the grammar units, the early units, and it's going great. I'm loving that they're getting more focused practice each lesson than what we had with our last curriculum, and just more practice overall. Each week, they will learn about one thing, one concept, and then they have that week to practice the concept in different ways. So like my son this week is learning about compound sentences and avoiding sentence errors. So on day 1, he gets to practice combining fragments into compound sentences. And then the next day he'll work on correcting run-on sentences and making them compound sentences. And then next, it will be correcting comma splices and making them compound sentences and so on. And there's a mix of more guided practice with single sentences, and then he gets to correct paragraphs of writing. So kind of working on editing skills and identifying errors, and it's been good. There are some video lessons, short video lessons on some days, but not all. And then my kids have workbooks they use the rest of the time. So I've been really happy with Essentials in Writing so far. I get asked sometimes how it compares to IEW, Institute for Excellence in Writing, and I honestly am not too familiar with that, so I am not sure. But if you're interested in seeing more of the Essentials in Writing workbook or a peek at what these lessons look like, let me know in the comments and I can work on a video for that. Literature is going well too. I'm using BJU Press Literature for my girls, their 6th grade curriculum, and I did end up going with the online video lessons for this. If you watched my flip through video, I think I remember talking about how I really wanted to try to do this with them because I really love this curriculum. But there just isn't enough time during the day. I need them to do this one independently after all. And it's been going well. This is another one I'd like to show you behind the scenes. Since you saw the teacher guide, I think it would be interesting to show you what it looks like with the online video lessons, especially if you aren't familiar with BJU Press. It's such a great curriculum, solid biblical worldview teaching, and they have an amazing planning and record keeping software that's even more helpful if you are using a lot of their curriculum. But anyway, Literature 6 is great. I've really seen a lot of growth with my girls, even just in the beginning of this year, in terms of their writing and their thoughtfulness and their answers and introspection and things like that. And I remember last year being worried about this, but I don't think I needed to worry so much. I just needed more time. They needed to get older and just have more of a capacity to think in different ways, think more deeply about things. So it's been a neat thing to see and watch them grow. My oldest son, my 7th grader, is using Essentials in Literature for literature. Jury is still out on this one. I don't hate it. I just need a little bit more time with it to see how it ends up working out. I'm not sure it's as much of the curriculum as it is that my son just doesn't necessarily love to read as much as my girls. And maybe it's not even that. It could be just the analyzing literature aspect of things and learning about all of the different elements of literature. It's just not his favorite thing. And that's okay. I loved to read, but I was never good at analyzing literature, so I can understand. Honestly, I think what I need to do is sit down with him and work through some lessons with him again. That's probably what needs to happen because I think the curriculum breaks everything down really, really well, just like Essentials in Writing, which is what I think he needs. But sometimes he tries to get through it too quickly, doesn't read the text as carefully as he should, and misses things and just rushes through it. So let me keep you posted on that. He is starting a new short story this week, so it's going to be my goal to go more carefully through his work and make sure I'm keeping him accountable and consistent and putting a good effort in his work. So those are all of the main curriculum updates. We will be starting BSF, Bible Study Fellowship, next week. And with that, this year we are doing the study of Revelation again. I'm really looking forward to this. Revelation was my very first BSF study maybe 8 years ago or so, and it was life-changing. Every year in BSF has been in some way, honestly. So I highly recommend this study if you have it available near you or you want to find a virtual option. We are joining a new group this year, so I'm hoping it will go okay. A big thing I'm worried about is it's a much smaller kids program, and my kids loved our old BSF group, so I'm praying that they will love this just as much. And a big bonus is that this group has a men's program as well. So my husband is going to be joining in for the first time. The last Revelation study was a turning point for me and in a way for him and his faith journey. So I'm excited to see what God does this year through this study. And I'm really excited to get back into the routine of our BSF Bible study. I find that it is much easier for myself and for my kids to be in that habit of daily Bible study when we're going through BSF because we have that guidance of the program. I mean, we read and study the Bible through our curriculum, but it doesn't feel like that much many days. And especially for my kids, they've kind of gotten out of that habit of daily intentional study, meaning reading and studying on their own. I did buy them some of the not consumed Bible studies a while back, but I haven't been pushing them as much to do them like I have in the past because as they've gotten older, I've wanted them to make it personal and take that initiative. But I think it might be something that I'm going to consider at least adding to their Homeschool Planet task list again. I don't want it to become something that they just check off a list. But sometimes we all need reminders like those because it's so easy to forget and let things fall to the back of our mind or to think that it's not really as important as everything else on our list when really it should be the first most important thing. Co-op is starting up for us this week. My big kids are doing a drama class again. They love drama class at our co-op. They are doing a Christmas comedy in December. It's based on an older movie, I think, called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. I haven't seen it, but it's going to definitely be something different from some of the plays they've done in the past from what I hear, so we'll see how it goes. Our co-op is more for enrichment type classes. My girls are also taking a world cuisine class. It will be a cooking class. It's probably obvious. My oldest son is also doing a learning and strategy with games class. That should have some educational games and good old all-important homeschool social interaction. Like we don't get enough of that, right? My kindergartner is taking a zookeeping type class where they'll learn about different jobs around the zoo. I think I saw the teacher is going to use some mystery science lessons in that one. And then he's doing a Bluey class, Bluey and Bingo Fun. I kind of want to take this class. They're going to learn about life lessons and things like that based on different things from the show. He will love that. Okay, let's wrap this up. This month I have a few videos I'm working on. One is possibly a collaboration that will kind of be a different look on our homeschool routine, if I can get that one out. And then I might work on some more in-depth looks at our literature and writing courses. But if there's anything you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. I have also had a few of you say you're curious about our Latin curriculum this year, so I might do a video on that as well. It's been a while since I've done any sort of fitness, workout, encouragement video. I've had some setbacks this month a little bit, so I've been a little bit discouraged on that front, but I do love making those videos and sharing that kind of content as well, since fitness has been a big part of my life for so long. And finally, I really kind of want to do another video with my husband. I don't know, maybe some kind of Q&A or would you rather, or just something fun and lighthearted so you guys can get to know us. Let me know what you think about any or all of that. Okay, I did not think I was going to talk your ear off this much. If you stuck with me through this entire update, kudos to you. It has just been a busy month and a lot of what feels like new changes and new stages in our homeschool. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video and leave those comments below with any questions or thoughts. I hope you have a great September. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.